Okay, let's talk about the Tom Tugendhat, his visit to Taiwan. I understand he's very anti-China. Why
Yeah.
is that? Is there any particular reason?
Well, I don't know why he is. I mean, he's, I think, a very typical example of the British class, the political class. I understand he's ex-military.
Okay.
He comes from a sort of landed gentry background. He's
Hmm.
been to all the old schools. He
Hmm.
speaks, a certain type of English, which is the kind of English I speak, by the way, which sets him off as being a member of the political class. I think he has all of the usual simplistic concepts about China that so many people in the West have. And also equally simplistic ideas about Taiwan, that it's this great flourishing, a wonderful democracy that we should support. And he's just, I mean, if you read his articles, and he writes extensively, by the way, I mean, you read him every day in the Telegraph almost, even though he's a politician. He's a member
Hmm.
of parliament. He was briefly considered a possibility as leader of the Conservative Party. So, we're talking about a man of some influence. He is absolutely internalized this belief that China is this sinister totalitarian state with a project for world conquest, and we must resist it with everything we've got. So this is what it is. So he goes to Taiwan. He's going to forge alliances with Taiwan to resist China. But the interesting thing also, and this is from a British side, is that the other reason why he does that, and it's probably not one that he's exactly thinking, but it is there, is that you go to Taiwan, you are rude to China, you invite Chinese attention, and that makes you and Britain feel important in some way.
Attention seeker. Okay.
Attention, so much about British foreign policy over the last 30 years is about attention seeking,
Okay.
especially the last 10.
Um, okay. Now about the Germany is going to have
Mm,
election right next month.
yeah.
It seems like AfD has been continue to increase. Their
Yeah.
polling numbers are getting better. But right now, CDU, CSU still have 31.5%,
Mm,
and AfD is close to 20%. When I look
mm,
at their spread, it's not clear CDU will definitely have the majority. Is
mm.
that how it is?
I think most people at the moment think the CDU will not have the majority,
Okay.
so they will have to enter into a coalition. And with every day that passes, the IFD seems to gain some traction.
Hmm.
And the reason they're doing that is because this is a complicated party with many strange people in it and some really very unpleasant people in the IFD. I don't want to pretend that there isn't that side to them too, because there is. But they are actually telling people how things really are. That Germany's in a bad economic place, that this quarrel with Russia has been a disaster, that the Ukraine war is a disaster, that cutting off Russian gas was a
Hmm.
disaster. They say all of those things. On Russia, they're pretty good. On China, not so much.
Hmm.
And again, I'm sorry to say this, I think the racist element
Yeah.
again plays a role. And I think we have to acknowledge that. But anyway, the point is they are gaining traction. The CDU is most unlikely to get a majority. The question is, if it doesn't gain a majority, how does it form a government?
Hmm.
um, if it's going to be a right wing coalition, there aren't going to be any right wing coalition parties that it can ally itself to, because to the extent that the IFD is a right wing party, which it is, by the way,
Hmm.
and it would logically be a natural ally of the CDU won't touch it. So, more likely than not, they will have to go into coalition with one of the parties of the current coalition, the
Oh.
SPD or the Greens, perhaps even both, depending on how well the IFD does. In which case, we will end up with exactly the same government, essentially, that we have now. Very, very little will change.
Which means even though AFD may have more seats and more support, but they won't be part of the government, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
There will be a major effort made to exclude them. If the IFD is able to break through to the point that it cannot be prevented from either forming the government or participating in the government, that is a revolution in Germany. That will be
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
fundamental moment of change in German politics. It will mean the breakdown of the political order of the Federal Republic of Germany as it has existed since the 1940s.
Okay. It'll be interesting then. We'll see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very
In
interesting. Very,
London.
very, very dramatic events are happening in Germany, playing out in Germany. Germany has a real politics, which Britain, for example, doesn't. So
Oh,
the fact that the IFD is breaking through in the way that it is important and interesting. It's a much more radical party than Reform UK in Britain is. Just saying.
by the way, the new Conservative Party leader, Kimmy Badenoch.
Badenoch, yeah.
Yeah. What can you say about her? I mean, Britain still have two parties, right? Even though the
Yes.
Reform Party has some tractions, but it's
Yes.
still two-party system. So what are your impression about this new Conservative leader?
She's, I think, more of the same. I mean,
Uh-huh.
she ticks all of the boxes, which is why they voted for her. I mean, she's said very right wing things, which
Hmm.
appeal to the very right wing base of the Conservative Party, which is who elected her leader. She's also black, which
Hmm.
appeals to some people because they think that it will win back black support. But most people who listen to her and have observed her think that she's a very mediocre politician and an unimpressive personality. And she's been prime leader of the opposition for several weeks now. And the general consensus is that she's not broken through. She's not made a big electoral breakthrough, which, given how unpopular the government is something that people say she should have done.
Yeah, and my understanding is that Keir Starmer is really not that popular, right? So
No, he's not. He's not.
yeah.
He's very unpopular.
Hmm.